If you want to make some more money, you have landed in the right place. I'm going to talk to you today about how you can make some more money. And one thing that is so important for you to do that is for you, myself, others, anyone that wants to make more money to stop walking in darkness. How do you know you're walking in darkness? I want to get into that today. What's up, y'all? It's your boy, StephenMotivate, back again with another episode of The Journey to Freedom. And today we're going to talk about how you stop walking in darkness and how you can make more money when you do it. We're going to tap into biblical scriptures. We're going to also tap into just practical things that you need to do to actually put more money in your pocket and get more clarity for your journey. So look, have you ever walked into a dark room? What's the one thing about walking into a dark room that you certainly know? You walk cautiously, right? If you're watching this and you agree with that, put something in the chat. Agree with me. Let me know I'm talking to the right person, because I know that that's true. It's true for me. It's true for you. If there is a dark room, there's no light, you walk very cautiously. Why do you do that? Because you don't want to run into anything. You don't want to hurt yourself. You don't want to stub your toe. You don't want to break anything, right? Hurt yourself or hurt others because you're walking in darkness. And when you're walking in darkness, every step is unsure. It's like, I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I'm going to guess. I'm going to feel my way through it. And that is not the way you always have to move. There are times where you may have to move with a bit of uncertainty, but you do not have to move consistently in darkness, consistently unsure of what you're doing. And this applies not only in your money, but it also just applies in your life. If in life, everything you're doing, you're kind of like, I don't know. I'm just going to take a chance. Every step is unsure. You don't ever have some type of gut feeling that I'm doing the right thing, I'm moving in the right direction, I'm making the right decisions. That could be a key that you're walking in darkness and you need some light. You need some illumination. Light represents understanding. You need more understanding, because when you have more understanding of what's around you, what the objects are, where I can step and where I can't step, then you're able to walk and move much faster. You're able to move with much more confidence because you've got clarity. You've got light. You're clear on what you're doing. And if you're going to make more money, you're going to have to become more clear about what you're doing, why you're doing it, who you're affecting, who you're impacting, and how you're going to consistently and intentionally make that impact day in and day out. In order to do that, you need some understanding and you need some light. And so one thing that we've got to be cautious of, right? When we're doing our hustle, when we got our side hustle going, we've got to be cautious whenever we can be of not moving in the dark. When you're too cautious, you're actually moving with a lack of clarity. When you're like, I don't know, it's because you're hustling, you're side hustling with a lack of clarity, right? And so how do we get clarity? How do we get light? How do we get understanding? Well, we do that. One way we do it is by learning. So I know you're a learner because you're watching this video. You're watching this video. You're seeking to understand, what do I need to do better? How do I need to learn more? So watch YouTube videos. Look for people to learn from. You've got to spend more of your time learning than complaining. Constantly looking for, I need a new job. I need this. I need that. Well, have you yet thought about, maybe you don't know enough. Maybe there's more you need to learn in order to get that income where you want it to be. Your money is going to grow if you get committed to learning more. Too many people get caught up, stuck in relaxed in the fact that, oh, I know everything I need to know already. But if you are committed to learning, then your understanding will open up. The light bulb will come on, metaphorically and physically. You will start to understand what you need to do to make money moves. So you've got to become a learner. And another thing for your money, you got a budget. And when most people talk about budget, they're talking about money, budgeting your money, making sure you don't spend too much. But you also have to get good at budgeting your time. People come to me and they ask me, how do you do a podcast? How do you work a 9-to-5 job? How do you have Diamond Shine? How do you have Turo cars? How do you have StephenMotivate and film videos? How do you do all this stuff? Well, part of it is because I've budgeted my time in such a way where I have allocated or set aside or made it very clear to myself and others around me, this is how I'm going to use my time. The people closest to me understand that I'm going to be filming videos for YouTube. So in that way, my wife isn't expecting me home until later at night because I've already made it clear to her. We've already communicated about it. We've already started to budget or make space in our life for this activity. And when you do that, when you budget not only your money, but also your time, then you can stop hustling in the dark. Because what happens when you don't budget your time, then you're trying to shoot your YouTube video because you're working on your YouTube channel, and then your wife pops in, or the kids pop in, or your friends call you, or this happens and that happens because no one knows that you've budgeted or allocated your time in this way. And because they don't know it, they have no reason to respect it. It doesn't seem as if you've actually scheduled your life in such a way where you're serious about doing this. And the number one enemy to you getting to your YouTube video, to you doing your side hustle is consistency. If you can't do it consistently, you really essentially can't do it. And because we haven't budgeted our time properly, then we're in darkness. We're hustling in the dark. We're like, okay, I'm starting and I'm stopping. I'm starting and I'm stopping because I've never thought about who do I need to talk to that's close to me and say, this is what I want to do. I want to make YouTube videos and I'm going to budget my time for that. So many people are like, oh, what equipment do I need? What mics do I need? What mic stands do I need? And all that's good and appropriate. But more importantly, do the people closest to you, the people that also need your time, do they know that this is how you want to use your time? Because before you start doing anything, you should count up the costs. And count up the costs, meaning it's going to cost time to do this, to commit to getting in front of the camera. So how do I budget that out? How do I communicate that out so I can make sure that I have the time that it takes to actually do the thing that I want to do so I can get to the money I want to get to and eventually get to freedom? You're hustling in the dark. You're walking in darkness if you are not thinking about budgeting not only your money, but also your time towards your side hustle. You got to ask questions, right? We've got to be willing to ask questions in order to get that light to come on. Hey, what mic do I need? Hey, what camera do I need? Those are all fair questions. Hey, how much time does it take you to actually film videos? Well, if you're asking me, I've been doing this now for over a year, and it takes me at least, probably 30 minutes on the short side to do a video. On average, it's probably an hour to even do a 10 or 15 minute video. I got to think about what I want to talk about. I've got to budget the time. We got to turn the cameras on. We've got to do all these things. So it takes me about an hour to do that. And so now you know what it takes me to do it. Maybe you can do it faster than that, maybe not. But you need to be asking questions to the relevant people in the industries that you want to get into. Before you go start that restaurant, have you talked to anyone who owns a restaurant? Before you go make that film, have you talked to anyone who does film? Before you go and start a shoe store, have you talked to anyone who's selling shoes? You've got to ask questions so you can not walk in darkness and get light, illumination as it relates to where you're going. After you've asked the questions, hey, get some help. There are people willing to help you. There are people willing to coach you. There are people willing to show you and hold your hand so you can get to where you want to go faster. But you got to be willing to ask for help. And so the last thing I want to do before we hop off is we also have to look at scripture, because this thought of walking in darkness is actually very spiritual. Because if you look at the Bible and you go to the book of Psalms 119, 105, one of the scriptures says, the word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. And that's just a stanza of the verse there. And David is the writer. David is this biblical character. If you've never heard of him, he took a little slingshot, knocked down a big Goliath giant. He defeated the enemies of the nation of Israel at the time. And so David had a really crazy life. He's like the best thing since sliced bread on one end. Everyone loves him. Wow, David, you just saved our families. We don't have to go into servitude or slavery to these enemies of our nation. So everyone loves him. But with that love comes jealousy, comes hate. The king that he actually helped save the kingdom for begins to hate him to the point where he runs him out of the kingdom, wants to kill him. And so David goes through this period of life. And if you look at the geography of the area that he's in, much of the story that we believe takes place, or theologians believe takes place, in that land of Judah. And if you look this up, you can Google this, the Judean desert. You can see the topography, the geography there. It's very mountainous. It's very desert-like. It's very not a easy place to walk, not an easy place to travel. It'd be like you need your hiking boots for this one. And so David's writing this, and especially at night, if you're wandering in the wilderness, he's writing this verse, and the verse says, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. So what does this have to do with money? I think this is interesting because we think that, this is only talking about our spiritual life. And in some ways it is. But if your spirit is right, everything else around you can be right also. And so if we get our spirit right, we can also use this as a way to get our income right, our mental health right, our relationships right. And that verse that he writes is very telling, right? Because it says that your word is a lamp to my feet. So lamp obviously indicates some light. It's light to his feet. And then it's a lamp to his feet, but he also says it's a light to his path. So it's interesting because in business, when you're trying to make a lot of money, when you're trying to do more than the minimum, when you're really trying to fulfill your destiny, and I know a lot of you are, I know a lot of you watching this want to pull out all of your potential while you're here on earth. I know that because you wouldn't be watching this if you weren't that type of person. And so I think what he's telling us is that sometimes we only have enough information, we only have enough illumination or understanding to take the next step. And so if you look at that verse, it's really powerful because he says, your word is a lamp to my feet. And he's talking about the law, of Moses and kind of what he understood spiritually from the Lord, or what they understood at that time. It was just enough for him to take the next step. And sometimes in business, when you're trying to get help, when you're trying not to walk in darkness, sometimes you don't know everything. You just have enough for the next step. I don't know how I'm going to make my feature film and win an Oscar, but I do know that I can go to this meetup. It's like, that's just a small step. Doesn't seem like anything at the time, but it's like this verse encourages us. If the word is a lamp to his feet, he goes on to say, and it's a light to my path. So it's like the feet part of the verse. It's the temporary. It's the short steps. It's the small steps. It's what the next thing that I need to do. But it's also saying if I continue getting these downloads, getting these gut feelings, getting this inspiration, getting help, getting this understanding, that my path will start to become brighter. That even though there's a lot of darkness, I'm on a rocky road and it's hard. It doesn't feel good. Every step is very hard to get through at times. That if I have some help, if I have some downloads, that I won't have to walk in darkness, because if it's like a revelation of progression. If I continue to progress, if I continue to get help, if I continue to ask questions, if I continue to budget my money and my time, if I continue to do things that show me that, I'm no longer hustling in the dark, I'm no longer guessing at this thing, then my path becomes a lot lighter, becomes a lot brighter. When I have light, when I have understanding, my steps are more sure. I know they're more sure because I'm moving more quickly. Things are getting done more rapidly. I have more confidence. I can speak to people. When I first started doing the YouTube, I didn't know what to talk about. I didn't know how I would sound on camera. Didn't know how to use the equipment. But over time, by continuing, by asking questions, hiring people, getting help, sending text messages, watching YouTube videos, asking questions, budgeting my money, budgeting my time, my understanding began to open. And now when I get on camera, the nerves aren't the same. I have more confidence. I speak with a little more clarity, with a little more understanding, because I've continued. And I think that's what this biblical verse is saying. And we can use this biblical verse to help us make decisions about our practical everyday life. And I know that you want all the tips and the tricks and the investments and the moves and the connections and how do you get big names and how do you get on other people's podcasts and how do you do this and how do you do that? But what I'm telling you is, a lot of the things you think you need to get to where you think you want to go, you don't need those things, or at least you don't need them right now. All you need to do is stop walking in darkness. Stop hustling in the dark. Get help on the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step. And so what David writes here is a metaphor for how we can live life. The word is a lamp to my feet. This knowledge, this information from God, this help that I'm getting from God's word is a lamp to my feet. It's illuminating my next step. And if I continue in it, all of a sudden, my future becomes brighter, becomes lighter, because it's a light to my path. So what I'm telling you is that you don't have to know everything. That's usually not how you start, but you also don't have to continue to just walk in darkness where you're cautious about every move. You're scared of everything. That's telling that you don't have enough understanding about what you're doing. And if you don't have understanding, then you're moving in darkness, and you don't have to. You can ask questions. You can get help. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to others. You can watch videos. You can read books. All of these things are not a waste of time. They're actually what's going to speed up time for you. If you keep avoiding the book, if you keep avoiding asking the question, it's like you go into the store and you're like, I know I can find this on my own. I know I can find where the baby powder is at. Little do you know that the store district manager reached out to the manager who reached out to the clerk, and they moved the baby powder from where it used to be. And so you're spending all your time in the store in darkness because you don't want to bother anybody, because you feel like, I could do it myself, when only if you got help, it would speed up your experience. You would get what you need a lot faster, and you wouldn't have to be walking in darkness. So stop walking in darkness. If every step is unsure, if you keep running into stuff, you keep stubbing your toe, you keep getting hurt, that could be a sign that you're walking in darkness. You know, It could be a sign that you need more help. You need more understanding. And there's a lot of people, myself included, that are willing and want to help you, because I guarantee you, if you get some understanding, that you will get to more money. Until next time, I only want you to do one thing, and that's to stay motivated. This is your boy, StephenMotivate. Peace.